What if I told you the loneliest people in society are often the ones who look the strongest? They go to work. They hit the gym. They laugh with friends. They say they're fine. But inside, there's silence. Not the peaceful kind. The heavy kind. Millions of men feel deeply alone, yet most will never say it out loud. Because male loneliness doesn't look like sadness. It looks like anger. It looks like overworking. It looks like emotional shutdown. And the most dangerous part? Many don't even realize they're lonely. Today, we're breaking down the psychology behind male loneliness, why it's rising, why it's hidden, and what it's really doing to men's minds. If you want to truly understand human behavior and the psychology shaping our world, subscribe to Mind Science Simplified, where we decode the mind, one truth at a time. Let's begin.
Loneliness isn't just being alone. It's feeling emotionally disconnected, even when surrounded by people. Psychologists define loneliness as the gap between the connections we want and the connections we actually have. And for men, that gap is growing. Studies across Western and Asian countries show that men report fewer close friendships than women, and are less likely to have someone they can confide in emotionally.
But here's the twist. Men don't always recognize loneliness as loneliness. They may interpret it as boredom, restlessness, irritability, lack of motivation, which makes it harder to address. From childhood, many boys are subtly taught to be strong. Don't cry. Handle it yourself. Man up. Over time, vulnerability becomes uncomfortable. Emotional language becomes limited. Psychologists call this normative male alexithymia, difficulty identifying and expressing emotions. When you can't label what you feel, you can't process it.
And here's the psychological cost. When vulnerability is suppressed, emotions don't disappear. They reroute into anger, into withdrawal, into addiction, into overwork. Loneliness becomes invisible, but its effects are not.
Male friendships often revolve around shared activities. Sports, gaming, work, gym. Female friendships often revolve around emotional sharing. Neither is better. But when activity-based bonds disappear, like after college, relocation, marriage, or job change, men often lose connection quickly. Because emotional intimacy was never the foundation.
That's why many men report, "I have friends, but no one I can really talk to." That sentence alone explains the crisis.
Now let's talk about the modern world. Remote work, dating app culture, social media comparison, decline in community spaces. Traditional male gathering spaces like clubs, unions, local groups have declined. Digital connection replaced physical connection. But likes are not intimacy.
And dating dynamics have shifted. Many men report feeling replaceable, inadequate, financially pressured, socially judged. Repeated rejection can reinforce isolation. Loneliness then feeds insecurity. Insecurity feeds avoidance. Avoidance deepens loneliness. It becomes a psychological loop.
Male loneliness rarely says, "I feel alone." It says, "I'm tired. I'm stressed. I just want to be left alone. I don't care." Some signs include excessive gaming, overworking, emotional numbness, increased irritability, risk-taking behavior.
Men are statistically less likely to seek therapy, less likely to discuss mental health openly, more likely to suffer in silence, which makes loneliness dangerous.
3 psychological barriers to men reaching out: fear of burdening others, fear of appearing weak, lack of emotional vocabulary. Many men believe, if I open up, I'll lose respect. But vulnerability builds connection, not weakness. The problem is, no one modeled that behavior.
If you're a man watching this, start small. Instead of, I'm fine, try, it's been a rough week. Instead of isolating, schedule one meaningful interaction per week. Connection grows through repetition, not grand gestures.
If you have men in your life, don't ask, are you okay? Ask, what's been on your mind lately? Open-ended questions create space. And sometimes, that space saves lives. The tragedy of male loneliness isn't that men are alone. It's that many feel unseen, unheard, unneeded. And humans are wired for belonging. No achievement, no money, no status can replace genuine connection.
If this video describes someone you know, share it with them. If it described you, you're not weak. You're human. And the strongest thing a man can do is refuse to suffer in silence.
Subscribe to Mind Science Simplified for more deep dives into human behavior. Because understanding the mind is the first step to healing it. And remember, the loneliest men are often the ones who say they're fine.